Hi guys, this is my mealworm farm, and as you can see I have my mealworms mixed in here. I pulled a few out so that you can get a better look at what they're like. So this is what the mealworm looks like. It's Chameleon's favorite food. And the mealworm is an offspring of beetles, the Darkling Beetle, and they are these little critters that are working away, trying to find a bite and just being very active here right now. And so these beetles lay eggs that we would have to view under a microscope, but in this area that you see them working in, you would be able to find a bunch of eggs if we went in with a microscope. And from those eggs, what eventually hatches is the tiniest of mealworms. And the mealworms look very, very, very tiny when they first come out of that egg, and eventually they grow to be this size. At this point, they're typically fed to a reptile or a chameleon, or in nature they just continue to exist. And then once they reach this phase, they turn into a pupae. And what that looks like is, oh, this one's really moving, is pretty much, excuse me, pretty much looks like this. So it looks like a partial worm. And if you hold it from what appears to be more like its head, then it moves its tail like that, which is pretty cool. There are no eyes or feet. It's considered to be in a pretty helpless phase when it's a pupae like this, but it's still able to wiggle around when you handle it. Or if something crawls on it, you'll see that wiggle effect. So I find that pretty interesting. And so it stays in this phase for a good while, and once it reaches maturity, the beetle emerges, and the beetle then looks very, very light in color, and as it matures, it gets more and more of this darker shade, and then it reproduces, and then it lays its own eggs and starts the cycle all over again. So this is a pretty interesting creature. They're mealworms, and these beetles aren't beetles. They're not beetles their entire life, and obviously they're not worms their entire life. So they're a perfect example of metamorphosis. Very entertaining to watch. If you're into this type of thing, of course. Or if you're growing these for your chameleon or reptiles.